Thank you for your practice. I really needed it. I have a chronic health condition that I live peacefully with, but it's a challenge, as you know, if you have that. And today is not a great day physically, but mentally and emotionally I'm okay. But I came in and I didn't know quite where everything was, and I spilled my tea all over the floor that people had to clean up, and and then I got cold, and I'm awkwardly putting this, I just felt like such a bozo, I'm like, oh man. And then I just noticed, like, those thoughts, I've had them a lot about myself since I was a kid, and just let it go. Because I'm here to show up for myself and for you and for anyone, my friends on Zoom, and just like, okay, a little clumsy start, no big deal. Probably everything could have been, if I hadn't just brought it up, it would have been totally forgotten by now. But these are things that we have to work with, whether we're sitting on this side of the room or that side of the room. Oh, and then the thing with the microphone, I just like, oh God, this isn't going okay. And I thought, I've taught here a bunch of times without a microphone. No one ever said anything like that, or in the other teachers as well. And now that we have it, it's interesting to see like this importance it's taken on. It's just interesting to me.
We're getting older and harder of hearing.
Yes, right. And probably part of my aging is my voice isn't as robust as it used to be. Especially when I've spilled my tea. No, I'm just kidding. So, anyone have any experiences just now in your practice? Awareness of how your mind works, of what you were feeling, that you might be willing to share? Now, are we using a mic for that too? Okay. Would you be willing to grab that? What was your experience of your practice just now? What did you notice? What did you feel? Did anything shift? So the Buddha wrote a sutra, a long sutra, the Satipatthana Sutra, on the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just one thing. The first one is mindfulness of the body. So having somatic attention in the body is like we did today. Some people like feeling contact with the chair, sounds, taste, smells, breath, and noticing what's going on in the body, because it has so much information to give us. We have language around it. I had a gut feeling about it. He's a pain in the neck. I had goosebumps. You're embarrassed, you blush. So there's this connection with the body. And the next one one of them is mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of thoughts. So I wanted to read something from that and about having mindfulness. In the sutra, it invites us to get familiar with and understand our mind states. And it says, a practitioner knows an angry mind to be angry and a non-angry mind to be non-angry. A practitioner knows the mind to be agitated, and the practitioner knows the mind that can be at peace. And it names a whole number of mind states, but the real invitation is to know an angry mind and a non-angry mind, to know a clinging mind and a free mind. But we have to understand the mind and actually examine it and turn towards it. So, for all these years of teaching people who come to meditation thinking that it's about having a silent, quiet mind, and develop incredible frustration and self-criticism and a sense of failure, any of those types of people in here? Just me. Wow. All right. I just spilled my tea all over again. So, getting to be familiar with mind states can help us not then let it lead us to an emotion and then a behavior, if we can catch it. And then there's also mindfulness around the thoughts themselves, not just the states, but beliefs. And anyone aware they have very repetitive thoughts? Yeah, a couple of us. So this is from Joseph Goldstein, who wrote a big book called Mindfulness, where he takes the whole Satipatthana Sutta and unpacks each part of it. It's quite wonderful. Reading the sutra itself, it's beautiful, but it's not quite as user friendly, shall I say? So I think he made it really accessible to us. And he talks about mindfulness being a protector of the mind. It has that quality of protection. It has this quality of like being at the gates of the palace and protecting our sacredness. Besides balancing spiritual faculties, mindfulness acts as the guardian of the sense doors because it keeps us aware of what is arising through the senses and helps us not to get lost in the proliferation of desires. Ooh, anyone have that? Boy, that really struck home. When mindfulness is present, we abide more peacefully in our lives. Mindfulness also serves to protect the mind from unskillful thoughts and emotions. Without mindfulness, we might simply act out all the various patterns and habits of our conditioning. Ajahn Sumedho, one of the senior Western monks of the Thai forest tradition, quite aptly pointed out that contrary to some popular beliefs, our aim should not be to follow the heart, but to train the heart. All of us have a mix of motivations. Not everything in our hearts is wise or wholesome. The great power of mindful discernment allows us to abandon what is unwholesome and to cultivate the good. So that takes a lot of paying attention. You know, that one of the reasons we sit for 30 to 45 minutes is it helps us create a more sustained attention so that we can actually follow through what happens after I have this kind of thought. Things shouldn't be this way. Therefore, I'm going to leave, or I'm going to make a fuss, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to lead down the path of emotions and behavior. We can actually hold it and maybe even have some compassion. Oh, wow, I've been having this thought, like me with my clumsiness in the beginning. Like, those are old thoughts. Those are old shames from a long time ago, and they don't really apply right now. Yes, please. So the Buddha said, "Bhikkhus, before my enlightenment, while I was still only an unenlightened bodhisattva, it occurred to me, suppose that I divide my thoughts into two classes. Then I set on one side thoughts of sensual desire, ill will, and cruelty. And I set on the other side thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of goodwill, and thoughts of kindness. As I abide thus, diligent, ardent, and resolute, a thought of sensual desire arose in me. I understood thus, this thought of sensual desire has arisen in me. This leads to my own affliction, to others' afflictions, and to the affliction of both. It obstructs wisdom, causes difficulty, and leads away from nirvana. When I considered this leads to my own affliction, it subsided in me. When I considered this leads to others' affliction, it subsided in me. When I considered this leads to the affliction of both, it subsided in me." when I considered this obstructs wisdom, causes difficulties, and leads away from nibbana, it subsided in me. Whenever a thought of sensual desire, cruelty, ill will arose in me, I abandoned it, removed it, and did away with it. So he applies this to any form of unhelpful, shall we say, I think that feels the least judgmental to me, to just say unhelpful thought patterns that we develop through our early conditioning. So one of the other roles I've played as a meditation teacher is teaching mindfulness in a secular setting. I got trained and certified by John Kabat-Zinn in his program, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And I've taught all over the world, and in hospitals, universities, nonprofit centers, and Fortune 500 companies. So it's been a really interesting way to explore meditation and how to offer a form of emotion regulation. This is a biggie, especially right now. But for me, one of the biggest benefits of mindfulness meditation is it has helped me so much with emotion regulation, and also this old patterns of negative thoughts, which have been delightfully interrupted by my new BFF Eduardo. So I want to do a couple of experiential practices with you to talk about the mind-body connection and how powerful our thoughts can be if we don't hold them with a little space. Are you willing to jump in? Okay. So I'd like you to take your dominant hand, hi you guys, and hold your index finger and your thumb about maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches apart. And in that space, you can look in that space and imagine a nice juicy wedge of organic lemon there. And you can see the colors and the moistness. Maybe you can smell it. And now I'd like you to turn it towards you and bring it to your mouth like you're going to take a bite out of it. And then you can relax your hand and tell me what happened.
My mouth watered. Yes.
You salivated. Anyone else, raise your hand if you salivated. So a lot of people. Anyone like pucker or
Yeah, but I
pull back?
I kind of projected what it was going to be like.
Okay.
Which just lemon by itself was kind of adversive.
Right. So an imaginary lemon can produce a hormone secretion. And that's important to know, because when we let our minds run amok, we might not be aware of the harm it's causing to our physiology. You know, so if we're having thoughts of what if, worst case scenario, that's going to stimulate the stress response, the threat defense response, and our stress hormones will go up. And that affects, you know, blood pressure, heart, digestion, pain, you know, and on a cellular level, it can be causing harm. So this isn't to frighten you, because you have total control over this, to not go there, or at least to understand, I don't want to cause, as the reading from the Buddha said, I don't want to cause myself or others harm with my thinking. So how can I work with this fear? So if we can move from the thoughts to tending to the fear with compassion and kindness and courage and sangha, the refuges, then we can hold that differently. Okay, so the next exercise, you need to use your imagination a little bit. Well, you just did. And also, if you feel comfortable standing up, that could be helpful too, if you could stand up for a minute. Okay, so take a moment. Can you hear me okay? Take a moment to feel your body in the standing up position. Just notice what that feels like, starting with the soles of your feet. Maybe seeing where you carry most of the weight of the body. Moving up your legs. Maybe soften the belly just a little bit. Sometimes when we stand up, we suck in the belly. You don't have to right now. No one's looking at you. And maybe just let the shoulders drop back. So I'd like you to imagine, well, when's a time when you're standing up when you get when you might get stressed?
Online.
Waiting in line, yeah. We'll just stick with that one. That's a really good one. So when we're waiting in line, what kind of thoughts might arise? Just throw them out.
The person in front of me is stupid.
The person in front of me is stupid. Okay. What else?
Why is it always the line I get on?
I'm in the wrong line. It always happens like this.
The cashier is stupid.
Yeah.
The cashier is stupid. Oh, okay.
What is it with the cashier having the exact change? You know, quarters or dimes.
The person in front of me is counting out their frickin' change. That person. Or, you know, we've been in this line for quite a while, and you're pulling out your checkbook now, and you're still writing checks. I mean, just, you know. So, what kind of mind state is that?
Stress.
Anger.
Stress.
Irritable, angry, frustrated, and very me-centered, I dare to say. So, what kind of emotions? So the thoughts are pretty negative. Thank you for being so honest. I appreciate it. I hate it when I do this exercise and people say, oh, I just look on my phone and look at pictures of elephants, and, you know, well, that's fine. I'm not judging. It just doesn't make the exercise work. So we have these thoughts. What are the emotions? We just named some of them: irritability, frustration, aversion. To sum it up, yeah. And then, what do you think might be happening in your body?
Stress.
Tension. Tension, like where in your body? Shoulders. You hold your breath. Your breath gets tight. Is that accurate? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Anxiety. Anyone here want to chime in about waiting in line? Thoughts, feelings, emotions? Okay. So suddenly we have this moment of awareness that this is an unpleasant experience right now. And you know, I've been practicing meditation and cultivating metta, and right now I kind of hate everybody, and I hate this experience. And so, what if we took our attention and just brought it into the body? So we're standing there, your hands are on your cart, or if you're in the post office, not many people go anymore, but I do. And you just start to feel your feet, your legs, your shoulders, and your head. So just inviting you to do that right now. And taking a couple of full deep breaths. And then I call this, you never have to wait in line again yoga. You might just do a few gentle stretches. You know, you could even just do with your hands or your wrists. Or you might go ahead and follow these if you like. You might do a few neck rotations. Maybe a few shoulder rolls. I'm sorry you guys have to look at my shirt, but you can hear me. Few shoulder rolls, and then maybe just very gently twisting to the right. And if there's someone behind you, maybe if they're not looking at their phone, you might smile at them and say, Hi, how are you? Oh, I love that brand of yogurt. And then coming back to center and turning the other way. And coming back to center. And just check in for a moment. How do you feel in the line? Nothing on the external has changed. No one, the manager didn't come out and say, I'm so sorry, you're in the one, let me usher you to another line, or I'm going to put 3 more cashiers on. So that external did not change. So we changed what we were doing, and what happened? What did you notice? What's that mean, Victor? What's that mean?
Got to relax in the moment.
You got to relax in the moment. No big deal. What else?
Looser.
Smile. Yeah. And then what I like to do is to put the whipped cream on top of the sundae, is to start wishing people well. Especially the person who seems stupid. To have some compassion for them, to wish them well. May you have enough money for your groceries. May your kids be fed well. May you be safe. And to the cashier, you know, I feel for you. Thank you for what your service, what you're doing. That sounded too militaristic, but you know what I mean. Thank you for showing up for your job. And may you be well. May you feed your family. And may all of us. And then I also look around the store and realize the abundance. You know, the colors of the produce section are phenomenal. And the choice and availability, which, you know, we may or may not have always. So in that moment, as you're leaving the store after doing that practice, what do you think you might feel? Gratitude? Peace? Calm? Connection. That's the one I really like, is that it takes me out of this self-centered, you know, I need to get my needs met, which we started out with the aversion towards the way I taught the meditation. So we can work with all of those things, and we can take this really unpleasant moment and transform it. So you can sit down. Thank you for playing along with that. I hope it was helpful or worthwhile in some way. And this shows us that we, by paying attention to our thoughts and our feelings and what's going on in the body, because you're practitioners, because you have mindfulness on board, you get to develop this kind observer to say, you know, honey, let's take another look at the situation. And that one little moment can add up to lots of moments, and that becomes our life. This life of non-aversion, of hating the way things are, because they're not our way. Yes, please. So, you know, there's some really fascinating research about the effects of the mind and the way our particular patterns of thinking or doing things affect the body. I'm involved with a group of practitioners who are treating chronic pain with a mind-body approach of really seeing what stems from the threat defense system and isn't really located in the body, but shows up in the body. It's just the way the mind, an avenue the mind found to protect us. And one of the popular stories that the scientists like to tell is of happened in England, English construction worker who fell off the scaffolding and his foot landed on a 2x4 with a nail sticking out of it. And it went all the way through his boot. And he was just screaming in pain. And all the way in the ambulance, you know, screaming in pain. When they took the boot off, they found that the nail had gone between 2 toes. And the minute he saw that, his pain went away. And that's just one. I mean, the research on like the placebo effect is mind blowing. There's even a book called, Back Surgery, The Great Placebo. Another interesting study I really like, there's this woman, Ellen Langer. She has a new book out called The Mindful Body, which I'm just really loving right now. And she set up an experiment where she took people who cleaned hotel rooms, groups of people. Do you already know this? Okay. Groups of mostly women who cleaned hotel rooms for a living. And some of them, struggling with weight issues, blood pressure, things like that. And they told one group, the house cleaning you're doing is a really good form of exercise. So you're actually exercising a lot all day. So I want you to just keep in mind that as you're bending over, running the vacuum, making the beds, you're exercising. This is good exercise. The other group, they didn't reframe it for them like that. So they had a passive control group, which isn't the best, but still good, rather than an active control group. And the women who viewed, or the participants who viewed their cleaning as exercise, lost weight, lowered their blood pressure, lowered their cholesterol, and also just started to feel better about work. So I just thought that was really interesting. And one of the reasons is I started to apply it because of some health conditions. I used to be a real, big active person, hiking, biking, kayaking, lots of yoga, not doing that stuff. So I remember I was going through occupational therapy for my broken wrist, and I found how many household activities I did were like the exercises my OT was giving me, like turning the faucet on. That's something they would have me do with my wrist, or picking something up. And the more I viewed it that way, I mean, they just told me they'd never seen anybody recover so quickly from that kind of fracture. And I know it was because of the way I practice mindfulness, which I based on that study. So I have my own little study of one. But I don't think I'm exceptional in any way. So I just invite you to play around with this. Yes, please.
What was the name of the author again of that book?
Ellen Langer,
Thank you.
The Mindful Body. And anyone that you can come up to me afterwards, and I'll bring it. I have it on Audible. Otherwise, you could take a picture of the book. But she's amazing. She's also got some YouTube talks that are just really amazingly. They're very interesting. So one of her recent studies was called was it called Clock Time? Clockwise? Counterclockwise. It's called Counterclockwise. And they took two groups of men and placed them in some very comfortable, nice housing. And one house was filled with objects like from the 50s. The art, the magazines, some of the food packaging, music, and they got to stay and live with stuff from the 50s and 60s. And what they noticed was that it actually reversed aging. It physically changed them just by the suggestion of this earlier time in their lives. So that this mind-body connection is just really interesting and worth paying attention to. And I bring it up in the context. I always bring a little neuroscience in it. It's my thing. I can't help it. But, you know, there are studies where they're looking at functional MRIs of the brain and really seeing that the changes are happening on a granular cellular level, which, you know, as a scientist, I grew up being a scientist, well, not grew up, but functioned as a scientist in my young adulthood. I'm sorry. I just lose it from time to time. But I think, you know, we have so many preconceptions about aging and we get so many messages about it. Especially if you watch television, which I don't, but even the YouTubes I watch have ads coming up all the time about things regarding our aging. And there was a white paper out of Johns Hopkins. A white paper is like a really comprehensive research thing where they collect lots of different studies and look at them and then make some conclusions from them out of Johns Hopkins about aging. And they found there were two populations that didn't age at the same rate as the general population. And those were people who were hard of hearing or who English was their second language. So they simply weren't being bombarded with all these messages of, and we hear it from our friends and from our family, oh yeah, that's what happens when you get old, or it's all downhill from here, you know. You know, my dearest, very best friend who died 2 years ago, she had lots of hang-ups like that. You know, oh honey, you know, she was a little older than me. She's, oh honey, we're just getting old. Of course we're going to forget things, and that's just the way it is. I'm just so worried. Now, worry is not good for your brain and does not foster memory and cognitive ability. It kind of niggles away at it. So if we can even use our mindfulness to notice, I'm caught in worry right now. I'm caught in a loop. And just that awareness itself breaks the spell and gives us just that little space to introduce some wise mindfulness. I keep feeling like the wind just comes in, or some space just comes in. Anyway, I've sort of said a lot. There's not that much time left, but any quick comments about this? Yes, please. So I'm about going over time. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Whether you liked it or didn't like it, you showed up, and that's a great thing. Yes?
Just one more thing I wanted to remind you about the Dharma.
Yes.
There are baskets back there.
Okay.
One for you and one for the center.
Yes, thank you. The Buddha highly valued generosity, and the Pali word is dana. You're not giving money to Dana. I'm sure whoever she is, she deserves it. So yes, if you can support ICD, not just for today, but for the future, we really appreciate it, and thanks for the reminder. I don't think there's other events coming up, so we don't need to do those. So let's say Ian's beautiful closing to share the merits of our practice here today. If you have a copy of Going Forth, or someone can share with you. Going forth into this world, so in need of light, may I bring all the kindness and wisdom I embody to each being and each situation that I meet. May the power of my practice today strengthen my resolve to be an agent of peace and justice in this world. Going forth together into this world, so in need of light, may we together bring all the kindness and wisdom we embody to each being and each situation that we meet. May the power of our practice today strengthen our resolve to be agents of peace and justice in this world. We dedicate our practice for the liberation of all beings. the great, the small, the wise, the ignorant, the powerful and the powerless. May all beings be liberated from sorrow and loss, hatred and injustice, scarcity and want, and every form of suffering. May our practice today be a prayer for peace, and may it benefit all beings without exception. Ah, that is so beautiful. All right, my friends, blessings. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I will be back. I have some Tuesdays and Fridays on the schedule as well. So lots of love to all of you.